and to add to it over time and to reevaluate what they've learned. That's always going to be the case. It doesn't matter what you transform. You can transform an individual, you can transform a team, you can transform a company. Doesn't matter. That's still going to be the case, regardless. Any other questions? Yes?
Just actually a comment. Thank
Sure.
you for, being a no talker. No talker? Thank you for making the trek to Tampa.
Very
So
well.
welcome to Tampa.
Thanks for having me.
Really want to acknowledge you for such a beautiful presentation, the thoroughness of your analogy, the thoughtfulness, and the graphics, and how well it all tied together, and the steps, just inspirational, just on its face, in addition to the information that you provided about farming and farming. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes?
So you said something very interesting, that when you take a closer look, it's a beautiful organic tomato. And as you step back, you start to see the linear and the structure. In companies that are very waterfall and structured, is that not a danger point that they fall back into those very structured hierarchy models versus, so how do you get that balance of like understanding that it's not a process to put in place, but it's like a team to grow it, like grassroots up versus,
Yes.
on down?
So, and that's why I specifically termed that slide vantage point. Because everyone doesn't need to have the same vantage point. And that has to be understood. Those who are at the portfolio level, they do not need to get in the weeds. They don't. They're probably going to mess everything up if they do. So you don't want them in the weeds. Now, at the same time, so they have to respect the weeds. Now, at the same time, the team, they don't need to start trying to make portfolio decisions. And they don't need to get consumed with any of that. They do need to understand the vision. They need to understand the basic problems that we're solving, or the types of problems that we're looking to solve. But they don't need to know and don't have to be involved at that vantage point. It's actually dangerous for both to try to always overstep into someone else's territory. That's what I really enjoy and love about teams, like really well-functioning teams. And I don't mean just in Agile or just Scrum teams or just in sports, but when it's a really well-functioning team, everyone not only knows their role, but they know the others' roles, and they respect those roles. Doesn't mean they can't ever step into the other roles, but they know them and they respect them. So the vantage point makes a big difference.
Sounds like a little bit of trust too.
Yes, trust is huge. So that's one of the other things. I'm sorry, going back to, no, I'm right back to you. Going back to, I'm sorry, question.
Oh, Anitra.
Anitra. Not you saying Anitra.
Didn't be around anyways.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah. But that's, one of the other things, I forgot what I was going to say. One of the other things that, what was I talking about? Trust, yes. Trust is one of those things that it does not matter what the transformation is. It doesn't matter the company. You're going to have to not only know that trust needs to be there, that's one of those areas that you have to protect in terms of like that psychological safety, is also the trust. So you have to intentionally do things to help build trust. When I go into organizations and I realize, okay, they don't have a collaboration tool, but they're wanting to scale. All right, so if you want to scale, then you have to change how you communicate. So one way of doing that, not the other way, but one way of doing that is by using something like Slack or HipChat or MS Teams or any of those things. And what I recommend for the very, very senior folks, like as senior as we can go, is for them to actually participate in the collaboration tool and ask what might be the dumbest questions. Because when people see that, they're like, man, if he asked that, everyone should know that. And it makes them know that, hey, I'm willing to put myself out there it's all fine, it's all good. We can trust one another because we're all trying to get better. Yes?
Quincy, could you talk about one of your engagements that failed and why?
One that failed and why it failed. Yes. I don't know if I'll call it a failure. It's more, it didn't achieve what I wanted it to, but there were definitely some success there. But maybe that's still a failure, because it didn't do exactly what I thought. And so in that case, that particular case, there wasn't enough trust, actually. There wasn't enough buy-in at the senior level. There was buy-in verbally. There was buy-in even on paper. There wasn't buy-in in action. It was still, what's that? Yes. So it was still a sense of, okay, well, that's good, all right? You guys are enjoying yourself? Lunch is good? Great, okay. This is what I want you to do, and this is what I want you to do it, and you're gonna work on the weekend, and you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do that. Okay, you're kind of missing the point with what we're trying to do here. But, you know, if you can't, you have to get buy-in at least with certain key influencers. And if you can't get those folks, it's gonna be very tough. And your level of success will be limited. So that's the reason why I said, I don't know exactly how I would fully call it a failure, but definitely was not the glowing success, you know, that I felt like it should be.
So how would you handle a situation where the senior C-level people are buying into what they agree, but it's the middle management
It's always the middle management.
that don't have a clue and seem to resist the entire transformation? What's your secret sauce for that?
So, I don't know if I'll say there's a secret sauce, but there are definitely some approaches. One of which is oftentimes middle management, they don't know where they fit into the picture. That's the biggest issue. They don't know how they fit in.
Is it fair?
Is it?
Is it fair?
I think
Yes.
so. I think they're afraid that they're gonna be eliminated.
Correct. So let's say there's a transformation happening, and you're starting to show charts and graphs and pictures and so forth, and what teams look like, and what this looks like, and so forth, and oftentimes, that middle management layer is not very present in those pictures and charts, and people pick up on that really quickly. They're like, so think about many of those that, say 4 years ago, when Scrum was like starting to just take everything by storm, and how all the project managers felt. You know, oh, hey, this looks really good. All right, so you got a Scrum Master. Where's the project manager? And that would immediately cause some people to say, in their minds and in their actions,